Before we start anything, I want to say that we've done 100. This will be 104 episodes. I've sat here for not all 100, but let's say no, it's 104, but 100 of them, and a couple of them were like ones where I just recorded openings because they were like archived. But this is the first time where I have sat at this desk and I have such a groove in my arm. I'm like, how has this not happened before? Just resting with my arm on the chair and the wrist up on the edge of the desk, but it fucking kills.
It's like when you wake up after like a deep sleep or a nap, you've got the marks on your face. Is that what you're talking about?
Kind of, yeah, but I don't know why this is happening. Again,
Old
I'm
age.
not in any different position. This chair is exactly where it's supposed to be. I'm on my mark because it only fits one way.
Yet you've got the scars to prove it.
Welcome to Open Color.
Yes. The podcast that keeps you updated on all the latest happenings in movies, TV, and all things geek culture. Whether you're a diehard fan or just looking to pass the time with some laughs, we've got you covered. So sit back, relax, and get ready for a wild ride. You said you're Cory, I'm Steve, and this is episode, what, 104?
104.
Wow.
Now, did you chat GPT that, or that come from your brain?
No. I'd say about 97.3% of it came from chat GPT. I did a bit of editing.
97.3. With all the hits.
Yep. That's actually that's a good question for you. So we've 100. I shouldn't say we've done 104. There have been 104
collectively.
And how many have you been a part of? All 104?
103.
Okay. Was there one that just you couldn't make it one night, so Vishal kind of took the reins and led the way? Or
yeah,
remember?
Yeah, it's I can't remember the episode number, but it's the Boston Pizza incident episode.
Uh-oh.
It was
if you remember, put it in the show notes for when the episode is released. For those that aren't watching on YouTube's live stream right now.
That's right. They cannot see me literally scrolling my phone to find epised number
65. I'm gonna guess.
Oh no, it is way down there. It's towards the beginning. We're in the 20s. Boston Pizza, episode 17.
Wow.
Yeah.
The
guys discuss Ryan's encounter with a recent Boston Pizza promotion. It was back in the James Gunn controversy. It was like one of our things we just beat into the ground.
What's the date on that episode?
Oh, jeez. Here we go. You're so lucky. I was smart too. I didn't actually close the app. I just minimized it. It was August 17, 2018.
Wow. Coming up to 5 years ago.
That's right.
Where's the time go?
5-year 5th anniversary. It would be the 26th of April.
The first episode drop. May notice I am back to being the two-armed man. Yes. Yeah. It's
you amazing. Will not be the killer on The Fugitive anymore.
Nope. I am no longer the killer in Harrison Ford's The Fugitive. I got cleared, so I do not have any surgery that's required. I've just got a shit ton of physio that's coming up. Strength training, pretending I'm trying out for the Olympics. That's what I tell myself.
I look forward to the Instagram, in the gym videos.
Yeah. And just
curls
just need to come up with a really good 80s montage. Not you're the best around, and do one of those montages, where you just
push it to the limit or something.
Yeah.
Although when you do push it to the limit, I expect you to be bringing in bags of cash into the Bank of Miami, as Tony Montana did.
Yeah, no, I mean Monopoly money for sure.
Nice.
I record myself just paying the physiotherapist in Monopoly money and make sure that they accept it. You will. I will say
that is the most depressing thing I find now that I'm grown up and having to pay bills and stuff, is watching movies like Goodfellas or Scarface or American Made, where there's just people with mountains of cash just being buried in their yard, or hidden in shoeboxes in the closet, or strapped to their fucking chest. And I'm like, Trying to rub two bits together to.
Yeah. trying to fold your bills so it makes it look like a thicker stack.
Put the big ones on top.
I mean, even Cousin Eddie in Vegas Vacation, buried his money in the desert.
I feel as though I need to go dig up my yard and just put a couple $10 bills in there.
Yeah, I should not be getting excited in finding a $20 bill in like a random pocket.
That's like free money right there.
Yeah, it's like, what am I going to do? I'm going to go get a bag of milk with this $20.
Just the one though. You're not even getting the 3 bags.
Put it on an IOU. 260,000. Might want to hold on to that one.
So 2 things out of the way quickly. First, April is tomorrow.
Oh shit.
So baseball is back officially. Regular season has started. Opening day was yesterday, right? Yesterday. Yep. And based on the garb of the Stros, you're all in.
It was I am all in. Jade, as she said yesterday, has now lost me up until the end of November. But yeah, there was a full slate of games yesterday starting at 1. Yeah, exactly. And there's only 10 games today, but
only.
It was great. Yeah, I mean, I don't really know why. Maybe they wanted to have opening day on Thursday, but they want to have game series played in either sets of 3 or 4, and it's too early in the season to have a 4-game set, so they just do a 3-game set. So they do Thursday, Saturday, Sunday, and then next week it kicks into the regular swing of things. Jays won, which is great. The Astros lost, which is shit. Lots of home runs, lots of runs. The new changes. How familiar are you with?
That's what I was going to ask you. So there's a bunch of new rules.
Yeah.
Some new rules. I know their pitch clock, the speed it up was one of them.
Yeah, which is significant reduction in the average length of a game, even within spring training. So the average game last season, I think, was 3 hours and 2 minutes, and throughout spring training, it was brought down to 2 hours and 26 minutes. So you're shaving off half an hour already, or close to, which for the casual fan, I think is huge. It's not like a Marvel movie, right? you're getting some time back with that. But the pitch count rule is essentially when there is no player on base, the pitch clock is 15 seconds. The batter has to be in the box within 8 seconds, and the pitcher has to start their movement before it hits 0. If it's faulted on either side, it's either a ball is or a strike is awarded to the batter, or a ball is awarded to the batter if it's the pitcher's fault.
Gotcha.
If there is a player on base, then that 15 seconds goes to 20 seconds. So that's really you're seeing some immediate impacts with that, and it's going to take some players to adjust to it, because a lot of the players, for them, it's the routine. They, in between pitches, they take off their batting gloves, they restrap the Velcro, they grab their hat, they do whatever they need to do. Well, you don't have time for that now. You don't have time for that. So it's get in the box, get ready to look for the next pitch, because it's coming.
Yeah. And what's the other big significant
the shift. So the shift probably came around, I want to say, just over about a decade ago, and it allowed the infield players to shift over to one side depending on which side of the plate the batter hit from. So if the batter was left-handed, generally everyone would shift to the right side, and vice versa. And there was no limitation. Sometimes they would even have the 3 of the 4 infielders on the right side, put the 4th one in shallow outfield, and then the 3 outfielders where they were. So really, it clogged the pockets where the ball could be hit. I would argue too that professional athletes are good enough where they could just swing and hit the ball opposite direction and get on base, but everybody wants to go for the power, wants to go for the show. So anyway, the new rule is that all 4 infielders have to stay on the dirt, and have to stay, the second base and the first base have to stay in between the second baseman and the first baseman have to be within first and second, and the shortstop and third baseman have to be within third and second. So they have to be in the dirt in, well, how it's traditionally played. So they can no longer go out into the grass.
Yeah.
They can no longer come in. I think they can come in for bunt situations, which is fine. But the goal from that is to drive production, drive up runs during games.
Yeah. I was going to say, because if you are an infielder, you should be in the infield.
100%. And I'm not gonna, like, when the shift first came in, I loved it because I was like, oh, this is strategic in thinking how you're going to play that certain situation.
Mm-hmm.
But then it got to be like every batter, like it doesn't matter what point of the game, you could even be winning or you could even be losing, and it doesn't matter. You were playing the shift, first inning all the way up to the ninth and beyond, and it was like, okay, then I just got really tired of it. Because it just sucked the enjoyment out of the game, Another quick.
Did teams get as burned on that as much as you would think they would have? Like shifting everybody over to one side and the guy hits opposite field.
That's the thing. Not a lot of people would hit opposite field. Like they just would.
Right.
Like the players would not. And if it did happen, it was by fluke. They were late on the swing.
Yeah. Because that's, to me, it would seem like that'd be the most fun. Oh, you're gonna get burned now because this guy,
Well, and that's the thing too, right? Like if you hit the ball opposite field, you can only use the shift for so long, depending who's on base, right? If you have a player on second, you're not going to pull your third baseman all the way over to second because who's going to cover third if the ball's hit,
right?
And the runner runs toward third base, so you can only play the shift to a certain point. But yeah, the players, they just didn't want to. I'm not going to say they didn't, but I don't know what the rhyme or reason was for them to not just play small ball to get the shift out of the way. But for now, it's like it's done. It's good. It's gone out of the game. The other one is that the base bags are 6 inches bigger, so 3 inches on either side bigger. So they say that it will prevent injury, which I believe. It will increase stolen bases. And then the last one is the amount of times that a pitcher can pick off a player at first base or third base or second base. They can only do it once per at bat. So instead of the game being delayed with the pitchers constantly throwing the first base to keep them from stealing the base, they can only do it once per at bat. So they have to use it wisely. So it's just all these little tweaks and whatnot with a game that's over 100 years to modernize it to make it a bit more exciting than what it has been the last number of years.
It's not a game, it's a pastime.
That's right. The best pastime there is.
I believe America's game is Wheel of Fortune.
I'd say, Jack. Yeah, just giving headlocks to everyone. Right? Yeah. Did you see that?
Yeah. He's every like second or third episode, Sajak is in the news for some nonsense that he's doing on the show.
Listen, Buddy's what, like 76 years old?
He's up there.
He's been
doing the show for 40 years.
He's been going at the fortune for 40 years and doing, for the most part, a really good job. I mean, he hasn't gone senile. He hasn't, there's no backstage. Well, maybe you're starting to see it, but he hasn't gone. There's been no backstory, issues or stories about, co-workers and whatnot. But maybe this headlock is the beginning of the end for him. Like, what was he doing?
I have no idea. I guess it was
just
the
goes
guy
and grabs a guy, and
I don't know if it was he's like a wrestler or has like a wrestling background. So he thought, hey, I'll this.
I'm 76 years old.
I'll be Sajak. I'll give this guy once over.
I've been watching Wheel of Fortune a bit more with Oliver. I'm not going to float my own boat, but I am really good at that game. I seem to get them all really well.
You seem to know how to spell words.
But I do, like, I watch it and I'm like, oh, I mean, obviously things are modernized now and digitized, and like the screens where the letters are on are, much better than what they were in the 80s. But I miss the have to like push the screen and like turn the screen, Remember you used to have to turn it, and now you just hit it.
They've basically made Vanna kind of pointless at this point.
Yeah.
But
Vanna White.
Keep her on there.
Well, it's like it's just the longevity now at this point. You just let her ride out write out the show until she decides to go, or until nature decides to take her from the show.
Ooh, dark.
Yeah, well, I mean, there's no other way to put it. I don't know how else to say it. Yeah.
Speaking of dark.
Oh God.
All right, so last week's episode, our homework that we decided was to give this CW series, Gotham Knights, a look-see based on our torture of trying to watch the trailer. So we decided we'll give it a chance.
Because we're gluttons of punishment.
Yeah, we'll watch the first episode and go.
Okay, I took some notes.
Okay, let's hear these notes.
So right away, within like the first, I'm going to say that I was watching this not with any level of expectation higher than my toe is off the ground. And I started taking notes though when the show started, and immediately like maybe 15-20 minutes and I stopped because I was like, I can't do it. I can't do it. Hand cramp, exactly. So right away, one of the first references, if you caught it or if you know about it, was that there was a Court of Owls coin reference. Yep. Which, sorry, spoilers for those that really want to invest time in the one season that this show will be on. But I feel like we should say that. So, the Court of Owls coin reference I immediately saw, and based off of what we saw from the trailer, was immediately pissed with that reference, because it's that is such a good storyline, the Court of Owls. But you're just
Scott Snyder's run, right?
It is, yeah. And
the New 52.
That's right, yeah. So you use that reference, and it's almost like a half-assed reference, because you're just like, hey, we can use one thing from the mythos, and you've got a show that is not following the mythos at all, yet you're using the Court of Owls reference, so it doesn't make any sense.
I'm sure how many people saw a coin thought Two-Face, because it was at the beginning just a veiled reference to Bruce Wayne, we'll say, because you don't, that's what they do on these shows. You don't let you see Bruce Wayne's face, right?
No,
it's saving for the movie. So
that's right. So I'll go through the other 5 bullet points that I made. The second one was it shows you Bruce Wayne's office. I think it was when the kids were trying to break in. That was, I think, the opening scene. But the office is hiding only 25% of his costume, the cowl and a couple of batarangs. Like, where is
because
who's wearing the suit, Todd?
That's right.
Like where's the suit? I don't know, Margot.
It's when
it's just
it's for when he wants to just have a little fun with the cowl.
I just think,
and I'm pretty sure it's not even like the full cowl either. It was almost like a domino mask with.
So what happens if someone breaks into Wayne Towers? Is he going to be wearing a suit with the cowl and a couple of batarangs, or is he going to be in his underwear with the cowl and a couple of batarangs, or does he have, which we didn't see in the first episode, that tube that he goes through his seat? I think Val Kilmer or George Clooney's Batman. I can't remember which one. There was one that just he sat in his seat and it went down the tube.
Batman Forever. Yes,
I think the Kilmer one. So we have Alfred, the analog for Alfred, being that Asian lady. And there's a party going on.
Tessa or something?
Yeah, I didn't even pay attention to that. I just saw, this is Alfred's analog. Different background, different sex, different, of course, just making everything
2023. Different. Gender swap everybody.
100%. And she walks up to Turner or Taylor or Turk or whatever the guy's name, and she has no idea about the caterers and about the DJs and the light shows, and is surprised about Batson having a party. When wouldn't you have to coordinate that kind of shit? Like, you would have to coordinate the bartenders, the lights, the DJ, and there's 50,000 people. And she's so dumbfounded.
Hop on the Jiffy app and you just rent everybody out.
And she's expected to raise this kid now. He's in for a world of hurt. There were hints of the 89 score when the kids broke into the office and discovered that Bruce was thrown out the window, there was like a very like maybe 5-10 second, not even 10 seconds, 5 seconds hint of that 89 score when they were like walking up towards. And I thought that was kind of cool. But again, you're just ripping it off for views, or like TV's version of clickbaits, I guess. I didn't like how Joker's daughter was ripping, and you had no indication that she was the Joker's daughter until later in the episode. But as soon as I saw this scene, I was like, well, yeah, she's clearly the Joker's daughter.
She's got, red hair and wears makeup. So
when they escape the building and they steal the police car, and she's in the back seat and she sticks her head out of the window, trying to pull off the Heath Ledger scene from Dark Knight. And then the last thing, and at this point I just kind of tuned out, was Bat's son, Taylor, Thomas, Turner, whatever his name is, someone who's not in the comics, laying it on like pretty thick in the dialogue with dad, my dad. And I swear within the first 10 minutes I must have heard him say that like maybe 10-12 times. Dad, my dad. Dad. It's like, oh, fuck, like we get it. You were his adopted son. And I tuned out after that. I was pissed. I think I did dishes.
Your thoughts on the Harvey Dent character, who I don't know how many district attorneys are showing up at crime scenes. Like, don't they just get the file on their desk and decide whether or not they're going to court? They're not investigating crimes. And
like showing up to a house party with 100 people, and instead of being like, hey, come down to the police station, we need to talk with you, he just come in and tell them right there, like, oh, Bruce is dead. Like it was crying. Again, I was not expecting it to be good, but I was kicking myself in the ass. Like, why did I waste my nights watching this?
Pun. Wasted nights.
Sorry, I'll finish off and say one thing. The last thing I thought was cool was the only thing I thought was cool was the Talon costume, like the Court of Owls Talon costume at the end. That was cool.
That would have been like the only saving grace to maybe watch the second episode, was Talon showing up at the end. Yeah, but that's it. Yeah, nothing else you could have gotten. And which again, you could have done all that with a better program.
For sure. Okay, over to you.
Yeah, no, I can't.
Then we'll give it our grades.
I can't disagree at all with any of that. Like the Carrie Kelly, like reveal. Like, I know Carrie Kelly from the comics, basically her Robin mask is glasses, but this is literally all they gave her.
Mm-hmm.
So she's just basically a kid in a hoodie with glasses. I'm Robin. Like, and there was no reference to Robin at all with Batman. This, I also find they're doing more and more like with Titans, and now this, for a company that has had this character for 80-90 years, outside of theatrical, they don't really seem to understand the Batman character.
Very few do.
Like, I don't think, unless there's if this went on for 5-6 years, you find out that Bruce Wayne didn't die, I don't think he would just be off as easily as this show made it seem like it would happen, especially considering he's Batman.
Yeah.
In Titans, I don't see a world where he would go rogue and kill the Joker just because he's had enough. And then he goes on the lam in that one as well.
I would buy that more.
I would, of those two, yes.
Of those two, yeah. But yeah, to your point, I mean, he's got all these different gadgets and buttons in his office.
He's the world's greatest detective. If someone was going to take him out, he'd know about it before they even planned it.
Yeah, there'd be something in his office or wherever he was that would, alert him, or signify to him that something was about to happen.
Yeah, but he's like your reference to before, like to him to go out like the comedian in Watchmen.
Yeah.
So unless there's a cut scene where he's just turns around and says, "I knew you'd catch up with me eventually," and just let it happen.
Yeah, it's like we talked about this last week. I don't know who the target audience is. Is it the teenagers that they're trying to target? Because even like this, like even the CW, like the the Arrowverse, like for all of its fallacies over the years, for the most part, it was a pretty tight universe and generally told a pretty good story. Whereas this, I think, maybe the creators are no, Greg Berlanti. I noticed, I saw in the credits that he's involved. Where these just like quick buck artists that are just trying to make a fast buck on one season and that's it. Like, hey, we got. And here's the thing too, is like with Sony and Spider-Man, they have to create a Spider-Man movie with every 5 years, I think I want to say it is, before in order for them not to lose the rights. Well, is this the same with Gotham Knights and these other properties, Birds of Prey and short-lived series that are coming out, that they're just being made to retain the rights to the characters from a TV's perspective? I don't know, maybe.
Yeah.
Okay, let's put Gotham Knights out. What's it about? I don't know. Thomas Turner, Wayne Tucker.
Oh, Mr. Turner.
He's really good at fencing. And then he grabs a guy and he's like, I am. What did he say? He's fucking corny. I can't even. I'm glad I don't remember, actually. I'm glad I don't remember. So we should come up with a open collar scoring grade system.
Like I wanted, not like a 1 out of 10. Like,
how many buttons is a collar open? 5 being like it's really good, 1 being it's pretty shit. I'm gonna say this collar is closed.
Yeah.
Like,
we're buttoned up to the neck with a tie on.
That's right.
The tie is not even loose. The tie is right up.
Yeah, a hint of blue in your face is how good or not good this series was. This show.
Yeah, our neck is chafing. The collar is so tight.
Over under on 9 episodes.
Well, how many has it been so far? Let's get that out of the way.
Well, I think 2. I think there's been the pilot, and because when I was looking on VOD, I was like, I gotta make sure that I watch the right one, because I will be even more pissed if I accidentally put on season 1. But maybe they would have had more talent. Who knows?
Okay, so it is ordered for 12 episodes. So you're over under.
They all are.
12?
Yeah.
Yeah, I can see it's going to go 12, but no more, because we're in a day and age where they kind of let things just play now, especially this time of year. Started late, it ends in May. They'll let it run.
So if it's ordered for 12, then they will in fact do the 12, you think?
No, they don't have to. They can pull it if ratings are terrible.
I mean, what are they expecting? I need to know this. I need to know, like, what do you think?
The CW is on its way out. I guess transitioning to, I guess it's just going to be reality TV and reruns. It's not going to be like a full-fledged network. So I think the expectations are low because, again, they don't need many eyeballs anymore. I don't even think Flash gets 1 million people anymore.
It's kind of like TLC. Remember when TLC was actually something that you learned, the learning channel, and now it's just, people popping pimples and
toddlers and tiaras.
Yeah, and like extremely obese people, and it's not like I'm not learning anything.
No.
And they shifted, from there used to be shows on nature and the wild and like David Attenborough's Planet Earth kind of style shows, and now it's nothing even close to that.
No. We are championing poor health decisions.
Yeah.
Did you watch that Prehistoric Earth that was on Disney Plus?
No, I want to though. It's added to my list. Is it good?
I haven't watched it either. My thing is just because they said today it came out that there's a new science theory that dinosaurs had lips. They weren't like crocodile mouthed, so their teeth were actually covered like a lizard.
Interesting.
People are not having it.
Of course.
We're just so used to the look of the Spielberg Jurassic Park dinosaurs. We figured that's what they all should look like.
So
no feathers. They got to have their teeth out like a croc. They got to look like a croc, but they got to be huge.
How would you prove that? Like, I'm sorry. I'm a bit.
I am not a
retarded
paleontologist.
I'm a bit stupid at the moment. But you have your bones.
Mm-hmm.
How would you determine lips or no lips?
I don't know. That seems like it's a question made for the internet to find the actual article.
Yeah. Well, I would definitely be interested in watching that prehistoric show on Disney Plus if it's because you sometimes
not
see
Gotham Knights.
Yeah, you sometimes see these shows about dinosaurs and it's just like really bad CG and really bad narration. But I would imagine if it's Disney Plus, what is it? Discovery Channel? Is that who produced it? Do you know?
It's probably National Geographic, right?
Yeah.
Because that's part of Disney Plus. I think that's owned by Disney.
So then it has to be good. It has to be good. National Geographic has some gems within its, within its catalog. Like Alone. Have you ever seen Alone?
Yeah, I have not. I know of it. I have not watched it, but I am well aware of it. We have talked about it.
It's amazing. Yeah, that's definitely something that it comes out every summer. So I think it comes out. It usually starts in June and goes until August.
Comes out every summer, yet they're out in like the cold.
Well, yeah, they're recording it probably right now in the winter that never ends. Getting ready for the summer season that'll never come.
Yeah. Oh, the life of Canadians.
Tomorrow's April 1st. So have you ever had an April Fool's prank done on you that like got you good?
Probably, but not one that I can remember right now.
Have you ever partaken in
in school? Yeah.
Yeah.
We actually no, we did one I think last year or a year or two ago with Parker, just with mom saying he lost a tooth when he actually didn't. Just put like a piece of toilet or something in his hand and like had him like, oh, I lost my tooth. And then April Fools. And then like 2 weeks later, lost a tooth.
That's a good one. That's nice innocent pranking.
Well, you got to get the kids involved. They gotta try to scare mom in some regard.
There's a video I saw. I can't remember where it was, Facebook or Instagram. I don't know, but it was pranking your significant other, where you plant your phone in the living room and you have it on recording, and you're sitting down in the chair or the couch with your significant other and watching TV, and then all of a sudden you just get up and scream as if you saw like a mouse or something, and just to see their reactions. I might try that on Jade. I hope she's not in the other room hearing me, but that might be something I might try and do. But you only have till noon, right?
Yeah, isn't that the weirdest thing? Like, why is there a time limit?
Yeah, you know what? I think it's probably the same guy that got shat on by a bird and said it was good luck. He probably got pranked, and he was like, "That's it, it's over. It's noon. It's 12:05.
Yeah, you guys have a 12.
Doesn't count anymore. If you had only got me 10 minutes earlier."
It's got to be like those like people who are just constantly terrified that it's going to happen at any point. So like, no, just stop it at noon so these people can have the rest of the day to themselves.
You can get back to like some normalcy and like productive work if it's a weekday, instead of putting like saran wrap on the toilet and making someone there's a whole I've got a whole bunch of ideas that I could do. I just need to execute them. I keep forgetting.
That's a TV show staple. I don't know of anybody who ever did that in real life. Saran
I've
wrap
done it once.
Yeah.
I've done it once. Yeah. And it was on my brother, and he went to go pee, and it went everywhere because he was standing up. And it was funny. I thought it was funny. I don't know if he did.
How old? You say your parents gonna be mad having to clean all that shit up?
Yeah, my mom was definitely mad. I want to say I was about 11 or 12, so he would have been 7 or 8, in and around there. Yeah, so almost about the same age of the boys now.
Yeah, so almost like the age where they could just be like couldn't figure out what the hell's going on.
It's one of those things where it's like an immediate joy of me getting him
Mm-hmm.
turning into an immediate, well, shit, I'm in trouble. I'm in trouble as trouble can be. So
then all begs the question: was it worth it?
In the moment, it was. Yeah. Why not?
The pride of the get, right?
It's only one morning of the year. Take advantage of it, I say.
Have you been gotten?
Yeah, Jade one time mentioned that there was a squirrel or a chipmunk in our kitchen in the morning, and I lost it. I was like, well, who left the door open in the back? Like, who would have done this? This is your
The typical
fault.
dad husband move, right? Start
Um,
immediately throwing blame at somebody.
That's right. Yeah. Yeah. In the back of my mind, thinking like, was it me? Was it me that
That's
did that?
why
I think
you did the
that's
blame
probably
even
the
harder.
one that comes to mind. That's right. Yeah, yeah. Who was it? Who was it? Speak up
Why
now.
was you?
Speak up now. Yeah.
And then when it's revealed to be you, it's like, well, you know, I was busy. Okay.
There's another one, just really quick before we touch on this. Another one I've always wanted to do, but Jade would absolutely murder me, is to put flour in her hair dryer so that when she uses it, it goes all over her face. But she said that if I did that, I would absolutely be murdered, and I wouldn't be doing episode 105 if that were the case, Corey. So
where does one get that idea? Like, that's the thing, is like these pranks, like who thinks of that truthfully? Like Home Alone watching, Macaulay Culkin pranks, just the idea of you should put flour in a hairdryer.
Going on right now. Let me just see if do you have me?
Yeah, I have you.
Do you have me? Okay, good.
Yes.
Yeah, there's a glitch in the matrix.
That
yeah,
matrix.
Who comes up with those? I don't know. I'm not sure, but clever people that put it on social media for me to steal.
I wonder how many of them too are ideas that were thought up of but never actually tried, and people just assume that they've done it.
Yeah, or just have been told not to do it, or it would end a relationship, or would not end well. So they put it on social media with saying, "Hey, record, you doing it to your significant other," just so that they can get the joy of watching it. But
watch it transpire.
Yeah.
Okay. This is one thing you've been wanting to dive into since it came out. So the reported incident involving Jonathan Majors, possible assault, battery, something or other.
Strangulation.
He claims innocence. Things seem to have escalated, but at the same time, his camp is denying everything. Apparently they have proof. Hasn't really gone anywhere other than what has been said. And then now part of the story coming out is what you touched on too, is apparently this is making the rounds that he's been a problem before on sets.
Yeah. There's a couple of directors.
Going to say, yeah, he's vicious and cruel behavior on sets.
Sociopath.
But here he is, big staple future of the Marvel Cinematic Universe. But like you said, if people have known this, why is this guy's career budding, right? And blowing up?
So I'm going to start by saying, in no way, shape, or form do I condone domestic abuse or anything that even comes remotely close to domestic abuse, where if and when it's proven that it's happened, then the book should be thrown at the person and everything should be done to ensure that there's not another victim that comes from that person's abusive styles.
Right.
So I need to say that because I truly believe that. I also don't condone the society we live in, which encourages cancel culture, which encourages guilt before anything is proven. And when I saw this, I was worked up because I was like, I know exactly how this is gonna fucking go. There's gonna be many people that are gonna come on and say, you know what, yeah, like, he's I knew it all along, and it's all men, and this, that, and the other. And it's like, well, hold on a second. Like, hold on. If the news outlet that broke the story, or that was covering it after the story broke by another one, if they were smart enough, they would be using the words alleged.
Right.
But I feel like we are now in a society where there is no longer a he said, she said approach to things. It's more of like now a she said, you're dead. And you are not given the opportunity to let due process follow the what it's supposed to be, how it's supposed to be followed in order to prove that the person did or didn't do it. This situation is I also want to talk to all the people out there that are that were saying the same thing about Johnny Depp when Amber Heard came forward and said all of these atrocious things, and then they went to court and it was, you know, broadcasted, and these people were eating fucking crow
right
after it was proven that he didn't do anything and it was all her. Which, you know, news bulletin, this can happen, especially to celebrities where they can be extorted. Not going to say each and every time, but let's not be naive to think that there are opportunities where this could happen. Again, let the judicial system follow the path that it's supposed to take in order to prove one's guilt or not before you start sentencing him with whatever you feel like is appropriate. Within 24 hours or 48 hours, this was getting more coverage, and there was not even any video footage. It was all just hearsay and this, that, and the other. Whereas you got athletes like Ray Rice, you've got, you know, Dana Whites of the world, where they were actually caught on film, unfortunately hitting their significant other. Yet people are still, you know, subscribing to UFC 249 or 269 or whatever number it's at now, subscribing to their, you know, to their channel to watch their reality shows, and this guy's still making a buck.
Yeah, I believe I saw an article saying that even ESPN tried to bury the Dana White story too.
Yeah, it's just
they have a contract, I think, with UFC, right, for the showing fights.
I think at the end of the day, it really pissed me off because it was, and honestly, I'm not saying all of these things because I'm like a huge Jonathan Majors fan, and I really enjoyed him in Loki. I really enjoyed him in Quantumania. I'm sure he looked really good in his role in Creed 3, but I'm not a super fan. So I'm not saying this in defense of him. I'm saying this in defense of the way things should work. And what we're witnessing is the issues with social media. Then 24, 48, 72 hours after the story broke, you started hearing about other directors coming in and saying, well, they, you know, I want to talk about his past, and, you know, he's a sociopath, and he's a vicious person, and immediately I was like, okay, like, well, like, where the hell were you when this is a question I have, is like, where the hell were you when, if you knew this happened, then don't hide behind a story that you didn't break and pretend to be brave and pretend to be like, you know, high and mighty, like, I'm bringing this to you and I'm going to tell you these stories. Like, you should have done that the day after it happened. And I know that there were two in particular. There was one director, A.B. Allen, who tweeted back in February of last year that there's a particular actor that's new on the scene, that's relatively the industry's smitten about, but he's actually a vicious, cruel, and abusive human being, both professionally and in person. He then didn't say anything else, and then this happened, and someone called him out on it. They saved that tweet, and they called him out, and they said, he went on to say, like, I regret that my overly flippant tone here. I read the words alleged assault in the tweet, figured we were talking about the shoving match outside of a bar, thinking that it was just, you know, Jonathan Majors and someone else. The other person, Tim Nicolai, who's a veteran of Broadway and a co-founder of some society theater, I believe in New York, was saying that, I'm just going to say this, Jonathan Majors, I'm just going to say this about Jonathan Majors and be done with it. Folks at Yale and broader NYC community have known about this for years. He's a sociopath and abuser, and that is how virtually everyone speaks about him. It's a shame it took for this long for him to be reported. Didn't have to be. Didn't have to be. You could have reported this when you knew this, and you could have, been braver than what you are now. And both him and A.B. Allen were pressed on, why didn't you come forward? And what's the guy's name? Tim Nicolay had responded and said, well, people have tried, but ultimately those trying to legitimize the allegations need the victim to come forward first. Bullshit. If you know what's happening, report it and let the detectives and those that find out find their own thing.
Yeah, because you can report an incident, but if nobody who was involved in it wants to press charges, that's another story. But you can report it, and then there's a record of it.
Yeah. And then the last thing I'm going to say is A.B. Allen was also pressed on why didn't he come out and say this before, and he said he explained that it would hurt and it would still expose and hurt people it would still expose people who have been hurt, which is why he didn't come forward and report it earlier. Which I say to you, sir, bullshit. You just were not brave enough to do it. If it's true, and again, this is how I started off this conversation. If it's true, then you know what? Yes, whatever you can throw at him, and remove him from those situations and protect as many people as you can. But I will reserve my judgment until it's proven and not come up to it beforehand. Anyway.
Right. And I wonder how much of those two, it's less about doing what's right or worrying about the victims, and more or less just, I don't want to get sued for slander, or I don't want to be accused of, making shit up. So I'll wait. Because again, when you go on social media and you post about somebody, say, well, there's this young actor who's making the rounds, this guy's a dick, and not say who it is. And then when it comes, you can put that on any other story that came out later and say, yeah, this 100%. Is who I was talking about. Yeah. And you're not going to be held, account for what you said. You didn't accuse anybody. You just yeah, well, remember that from a couple months ago? That's who I was talking about.
But you're worried about slander, and it's well, I'm worried about slander, and I'm just going to wait for the next person. What if this is actually happening?
Mm-hmm.
What if this is true, Corey, and what Jonathan Majors did results in a much more darker outcome for that person? What if they have a long-term defect from the injury? What if they ultimately, God forbid, become deceased?
Right.
This person is worried about slander when if he had come out and said it before, he could potentially save someone's life.
No, it's obviously not. If only I said something sooner.
Yeah. So it just I think for myself, I sometimes get so angry with social media. And I mean, there's trolls out there, and maybe part of me is stupid for getting sucked into it, but I saw this and I saw the immediate reaction, and I thought of Johnny Depp, I thought of Ray Rice, I thought of Dana White, and all those examples. And you haven't even heard from Majors or his representatives, which they ultimately did come out and say, to your point, we have evidence, it's going to be proven he's innocent. You shouldn't have to do that. Well, no, you should have to do that, pardon me. But what I mean is you shouldn't have to do that because you're already found guilty. Do you know what I mean? In the public eye, I guess. Obviously, obviously things will never change, and I know that I know this is the way things are. So obviously, don't be positive and think that it will ever change to anything other than what happens nowadays. But God damn,
no, before, let's rewind the clock back to 30 years. You would turn on an Entertainment Tonight, and you would be getting, we were on the set of this movie interviewing this actor. Here's a clip of the movie. Now it's this person and this person are accusing each other of, assault, and we have the evidence here, an ET exclusive. Here's the court transcripts of the trial, and that wasn't what it was. We went from inviting Hollywood into our homes to watch a movie to we're now in their lives 24/7
and looking for fallacies and looking
exactly.
For yeah.
We don't care about the wizard. We want to see the man behind the curtain. We don't care about the character we want to know, is this guy a dick? Is this person, beating their wife? Is this one, on drugs?
What skeletons are in their closet?
Yeah.
Who cares if he's a genuinely good method actor?
Who is this person voting for? Oh, for this party? Not watching their movies no more.
Yeah. This person is Republican? Yeah. Oh my gosh, we should definitely not watch any movies that they go to. And it's and that's the thing, even now you're seeing, I've been seeing the last few days people complaining about I don't know if it's millennials, I can't remember, but there's a group of people that were finding the show Friends offensive in some of the jokes. They were making.
Jennifer Aniston was interviewed saying
and
a lot of people are finding it offensive now.
The same thing with Big Bang Theory and a particular joke that Raj had said about Bollywood actors. And then a couple of weeks ago, there was a Tropic Thunder. Fucking stop.
Did you hear Ben Stiller about Tropic Thunder?
Well, just that he stands behind it, right?
And as well he should.
No, for sure.
The whole point of that movie is what we're talking about now. It is spitting in the face of what Hollywood does.
Yeah.
And people's reaction to it.
I guess just with me, it's let's just where's the line of these offensive, these offended people just constantly looking for something to bother them, and
everyone's a victim now.
They just let's just stop looking for things that bother us and just start living life and enjoying with what you have and the people that you love and the people that you're surrounded with and the things that you can do and the things that you enjoy to do. Focus on that. Don't now look at a show that was made in 1999 and tear it down to shreds and try and get it blacklisted and canceled because that's what you do. Your whole being is just canceling things, which is ironic because these are the same people that would probably say, let's give people a second chance. If the death penalty were to ever come back, they'd be like, no, we can't have that because people deserve second chances. Yet they're willing to cancel everything. Anyway, I get fired up sometimes about this, but
let's talk about people posting their entire lives on social media and seeking validation. But that's a different topic for a different day.
It is, yeah, because we could definitely lose. We're almost an hour in. Yeah. We could definitely turn this into a 3-hour podcast with that because I have thoughts. Maybe that's the homework. That's next week's homework. This is it. What we'll do is we'll just go through everybody's file that we have as friends and just look at their life and be like, what can we get enraged about? And
all the rage-a-hall.
Yeah, and then that'll be our homework for next week.
All right, well, let's decompress with a classic commercial.
Amazing segue.
Speak up quietly! The foot are about to ambush the turtle's sewer playtest. But thanks to the turtle's periscope, it's no surprise. Take cover! The foot are attacking with their sewer ball. Watch out, turtles, or you'll wind up in the recovery room. Oh no! Retromutant ooze! The shredder's up to his old trick. And speaking of going up, the turtles are taking the elevator to street level to make a call on Shredder using their private line. Reach out and crush someone. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles from Playmates.
Love it. I feel like I had the ooze, but then I might be getting that confused with the Masters of the Universe ooze and Grayskull.
Everyone wants to put ooze on their toys.
I will say from that commercial, the first thing that stood out was very, very clever for the director of that commercial to not say the sewer balls and just say sewer ball, not plural, because that could have, God, if that commercial would have came out now.
I feel as though there was probably multiple takes. And
sewer balls.
Shit. Let's go again. I got it. We'll go again. Sewer balls. Ah, fuck.
Do it. Do it live. Do it live.
I'm just gonna go. We'll edit it and post.
That was truly the golden age of the Ninja Turtles, and obviously Kevin Eastman and Peter Laird came out with it when they were in university in I want to say the early 80s, late 70s, when black and white in the independent comics and whatnot. Mm-hmm. So obviously it's been around for 40, almost 45 years, I'd say, but really that late 80s, early 90s was the sweet spot for
that show,
that
basically not to, I guess I could say define, but also redefine them as characters, right? Because that's where the different colors came in, the letters on the belts.
Oh, the
Before
letters.
that,
Yeah.
they didn't have that before.
Yeah.
They're identified by their weapons. In the black and white comics, there was no purple mask or red or blue. They were all red. Yeah.
And then they had their version of MODOK, which was Kang, which was not the Conqueror, but they had, you know, MODOK and Bebop and Rocksteady.
Utrom.
What? Utrom? What's that?
That's the race of what the Kang were.
Oh, the little purple guy? Was that? Okay.
Yeah.
I forgot about that. Shredder, obviously. Who are some other?
Baxter Stockman was the scientist.
Yeah. He was was he the Fly?
Yeah. He was the Rat King. Leatherhead was the alligator.
Okay, I remember
Slash was like a bad turtle.
Don't remember Slash. Was Slash a different color than the 4?
Yeah, his was black mask.
Really? Oh, I don't remember. On the TV show?
On the TV show, yeah.
Huh.
Then they had like the Triceratons and the the rock guys. Not Dwayne the Rock Johnson, but the guys who made of actual rock.
Yeah, Dwayne the Rock Johnson probably would have wanted the property all for its own. Hey-o.
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 Actually, no, actually, I don't have that one. I was just saying, I think I have that actual sound effect, but I don't. But yeah, the 80s. The 80s was really catapulted them.
And then the video game too, if you remember the video game.
Time was like the game, man.
Was it Genesis or was it Nintendo?
So you had the regular, like the super hard one, if you're like me, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, which was like, starts with like the map, it's overhead, and you kept going down sewer holes, and then there was like a little mini levels, and you work your way through. But the one that really, I think everyone remembers, was the Super Nintendo's Turtles in Time,
where you go left to right, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you fight Super Shredder at the end.
Yeah, I remember that. Hey, there's a I think the new movie's coming out pretty soon too.
August.
Did you see the live action one with Steve Amell?
Unfortunately,
I didn't mind it, and I don't know. Maybe if
don't make me go down into the Ninja Turtle deep dive.
Maybe I just don't know I don't know if it was just because I was clamoring for a live action story, but I mean, I didn't hate it. I remember not hating it, I should say. Like, I don't remember the movie fully, but I just remember not being well, this is a waste of time.
For fans of that cartoon and Turtles growing up, having the Turtles with Shredder, with Kang, with Bebop and Rocksteady in one movie, like, that's all you could have ever wanted. Because like when we had the original 90s, which was great, the sequel, they didn't have Bebop and Rocksteady. They had Toka and Razor, which
were they just like analogs of Bebop and Rocksteady though, which I think they were.
Yeah,
right?
They were. My understanding was they were written into the movie, but I think Eastman and Laird were still producers on it, and they didn't like them because they were created for the show. They weren't their actual creations.
They're not their creations, okay.
Yeah, they didn't want them in the movie, so they came up with these guys instead.
I don't support the Secret of the Ooze.
That's right.
I do not support it. Which makes sense. Hey, even like Casey Jones in the original one was just so awesome. Like when he met Raphael in Central Park, like their first interaction. Oh, just so good. So good. Corey Feldman.
Donatello.
Man, I tell you. Corey Feldman, we need to get him on this show. That's what we need to do.
I'm telling you, he'll cost more than like we would ever think to ever pay for an appearance.
Yeah, let's see if the producers can make it happen. We'll get Randy and Vanessa, see if they can get it done.
Okay, we should do a little Marvel. What do you call it? Minute wrap up roundup.
The weekly shit on Marvel segment.
Yeah. So, we've been talking about delays. Apparently, not so much anymore. Marvel announced June. Finally, your Secret Invasion's coming. And a new trailer will be dropping soon. So, by next episode, hopefully, that is when it is.
Not watching the new trailer.
Oh, you're watching it.
Can't.
Turn around and listen.
Maybe I'll do audio. That's right. I'll just turn around. For those that are watching us, I'll just spin the chair around and listen to it. Do you think this was a fast follow from the shakeup they had at the top at Disney and all of the cancellations and pushbacks and whatnot? They needed some sort of good news story to be pushed out to the
I want to say
masses.
that part was people just freaking out because something changed on a website and they just assumed. I personally feel if it's in the can, they're just picking a window when to drop it. If it's something that they're working on, that's the stuff you should worry about. I don't think they shot this, finished it, and then like, you know what? Let's sit on it for a couple of years.
And let's be honest, like, you know, Samuel L. Jackson is no spring chicken anymore.
No, he ain't getting it.
And, you know, I want to say he's mid-70s.
And his career started late, too.
I'm going to say, yeah, because it was like Goodfellas that really you know, put him on the map. You know, and he was great for those 5 minutes.
I think he got 5 minutes.
Yeah, yeah, like if he, like, does that have to do with it? I mean, is it 6 episodes? I want to say it's 6 episodes, and
yeah, Marvel's.
I will say that when it comes to Secret Invasion, I am much more happy that it is a TV series than a movie, because it requires a slower burn.
Yeah.
If they do it how I hope they do it, which is just like the comic books to a certain degree. Obviously, they can't do it like page for page and word for word, but so June's not too bad. So you'll have Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3 in March, and then June.
Yep. Well, there's May in between there.
You know what? Fuck it. Let's roll with that. Like, let's just roll with that. Let's roll with them taking a few months in between properties, and yeah.
So Ike, Perlmutter is out at Marvel finally for some people.
Following on the footsteps of what was her name? Vanessa. I can't remember.
So Ike was overseeing consumer products but wasn't part of Marvel Studios. But he was somebody who had a lot to say with what was going on at Marvel Studios prior to Disney putting Kevin fully in charge. He had problems with a lot of stuff they were doing.
Even earlier on?
Oh, yeah. He's not to go political, but he's like a Trump guy. So a lot of stuff that, you know, Marvel was doing, you know, more inclusive stuff is not stuff that.
Oh, okay. Yeah. I mean, yeah.
Like he shot down a lot of like deals. He was trying to like unload Marvel like way back in the day. Like just anyone who has an offer, maybe we'll sell it to you. He's also not well liked.
He also comes across as like looking at this image right now and the ones from the articles I've read, he just looks like he's part of the old boys club, you know?
Yeah,
like
that's the problem.
You've been, I want to say he's been with Marvel for at least 20 years, if not longer. I feel. So yeah, like, I mean, retire, enjoy life with all of the many millions of dollars that you have, and don't get caught up in all the shit, and just, you know, take your package and peace out.
He oversaw the comics for a while too.
Bob Iger, right?
No, Ike was like did consumer products, and then also was looked after the comics division as well.
Yeah. If he's causing problems more so than he's finding solutions for things, then yeah, maybe it's time for him to to go.
Well, he's also one who was like involved with the selling off of the characters' film rights to begin with. Because, when Marvel wasn't doing so good in 80s and 90s, he was just trying to keep it afloat. So he was just selling the rights off left, right, and center.
I did not know that. And now that I do know that, I say to you, good day, sir. Get the hell out of here. He screwed up a lot. Well, I guess back in the 90s when they had no choice but to try and make revenue off of the properties. But fuck, that sucked.
He also was one who tried to stop the making of both Captain Marvel and Black Panther. Remember when I said about Trump-esque type guy?
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
So
sorry, the first Miss Marvel or the Marvels?
Captain Marvel, the first
Captain Marvel
movie, and then and Black Panther.
Huh. Makes no sense. And then you know what? Egg
They
on
had
your
to
face,
call
buddy,
him.
because
They had to call him personally and demand that he stop putting up roadblocks to prevent it from getting made. And they both made over $1 billion. So who really was wrong here?
Yeah, you know what though? I mean, let's be honest. Captain Marvel wasn't the greatest of movies. And when you compare it to Black Panther, like Black Panther was just such an evolution for the culture, for everything. Like it was just like it had much more of a positive impact, as it should. So for him to just try and kibosh that, like I feel it's almost very reminiscent of when Stan Lee and Jack Kirby were trying to push out Black Panther in the 60s. And he was getting a lot of pushback from the publisher because back then it wasn't profitable. It wasn't accepted that a black person should be, its own hero and its own title in the book and whatnot. But they pushed through and they got it. And it was like revolutionary and very much was the case for the movie as well. So I feel like he, after the successes that Black had, but the whole Captain Marvel, I don't know if I get why just because it was Captain Marvel was the first female lead in a movie, wasn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay. Yeah.
And let's not forget, it had some scenes of Blockbuster.
I do remember that. That was awesome.
Blockbuster, a lot of 90s music.
It was. I think it's the only movie in the however many movies there are, TV shows that it takes place in the 90s. It's great.
Oh yeah, that's true.
It's the only one. It's great. Like there was a T-shirt that she wore when she stole the motorcycle. I want to say that it is not No Doubt, but it's is it Cranberries? It's a female-led group.
It's not Garbage, is it?
No. Maybe. If there wasn't a baseball game on after this, I would be watching that just to confirm. But I'm watching baseball later tonight, so that will not be something I can answer.
All right. Well, let's do something a little bit different.
Mm-hmm.
Wrap this up quickly with a little game, this or that.
What's the backstory on this story?
It's basically you'll get two options here. You'll pick this or you'll pick that, whichever you just prefer of the two. And we don't talk a lot about music, but we talk about movies a lot. So let's put those together and decide which was better, the movie or the soundtrack.
Yes.
First up, Top Gun.
I knew this was going to be on there. I will let you go first, sir.
Like, to me, this is like, the chicken and the egg. Like, you can't, is the movie good because the music, or is the music good because it came from the movie? My humble opinion, I will go movie.
Okay. So is that this then?
I will go this versus that. This being the movie.
So for the viewers, this is on the left side of the screen and that is on the right side of the screen. I really struggle with this because one of my favorite genres of music is 80s music.
Of course.
Absolutely love it. Like,
it
absolutely
is the worst,
love it.
yet it's the best.
Could listen to it all day, every day.
Yeah.
And so when I see the likes of Loverboy, Kenny Loggins, Cheap Trick,
Berlin,
the Miami Sound Machine, like all of these old, like from the Miami Sound Machine, Gloria Estefan. I mean, come on.
That's right.
I struggle with it. But if I were to think about it for a second, I would ultimately have to say the movie, because when I hear Danger Zone, I'm not listening to Danger Zone thinking about, playing football or watching football or whatever. I'm thinking about someone taking off in an F-18.
That's right.
So I associate the music.
Playing with the boys, you picture volleyball.
That's right. Unfortunately, we're wearing jeans too. I mean, like Tom Cruise made playing. Actually, it makes
so gay. He made it
like,
so gay.
If Hope Volleyball, if there's ever been anyone at the Hope Volleyball tournament here in Ottawa, if anyone's ever played in jeans, because if it hasn't happened,
jeans
God,
and
it needs
aviators,
to happen. Like just to take the piss, as English people would say.
And they taped up their wrists and everything.
That's right. And then they did the whole like up and back and
yeah.
Like, oh yeah.
If there wasn't a baseball game on, you'd be watching Top Gun.
Yeah. You know what? Actually, I think it's just the boys' night for the next several days, so I might watch Maverick. Anyway, digressing.
Yes.
I'm gonna go agree with you. This.
Footloose. We got Kenny Loggins again. This is Kenny Loggins' night.
Yeah, he was like Caddyshack. He is an 80s icon when it comes to soundtracks.
So again, Kenny Loggins is on there. Sammy Hagar's on there.
This is tough.
Bonnie Tyler.
I'm going to have to say. I'm going to say that.
Yeah, I'd say the soundtrack.
I'm going to say the soundtrack. The movie is of its time and a classic for its time. But it's all about dancing, and the movie wouldn't be good if the music they were trying to dance to was shit. So for that reason, I'm going to say the soundtrack. If they had come out with the soundtrack and it wasn't Kenny Loggins, but it was, Paul Simon in his off years in the 80s that just made a shit song, the movie wouldn't be that good. You
also got Mike Reno of Loverboy. See, like Loverboy, Kenny Loggins.
That's where they made their money.
Almost Famous.
Admittedly, I haven't seen the movie.
You son of a bitch.
And can you tell me some names from the soundtrack? I'm actually going into this fucking blank, so
so you will defer to my expertise.
You give your opinion, and I'll look up the soundtrack.
The movie is a love letter to basically music, right?
So what I know about it is that it's about it's told through the lens of a roadie or a reporter, I guess.
So he's a young kid who wants to be a reporter for Rolling Stone magazine. Okay. So he gets an assignment from the late great Philip Seymour Hoffman. And he follows the band around and basically goes on tour with them, and basically just writing about it, and throughout you basically get to like the ups and downs of what it is like to be a touring musician with fans and groupies and all that stuff. Some of the folks on the soundtrack you have
oh my god,
Simon Garfunkel, The Who, Yes,
this is
Stillwater,
got 70s written all over it.
Allman Brothers Band, Lynyrd Skynyrd, Zeppelin, Elton John, David Bowie, Cat Stevens, CCR.
See, I haven't seen the movie. I know these songs though in the soundtrack, and I mean, it's a pretty solid soundtrack.
I think it's a fantastic movie, so I'll go this. The soundtrack just enhances the film. So
I'll go that because I recognize the artists and the songs in the soundtrack, but I haven't seen the movie, so it's only fair to me to say
homework. Watch Almost Famous. It's long.
Not
though.
next week's homework.
That will be.
We'll queue it up. We'll add it to my.
Do yourself a favor.
You know what we need to do? We need to create an open caller my list. Add it to my list, you know, like for streaming platforms. We need to do like an open caller.
Put it on my tab.
That's right. That's right.
Armageddon.
Well, I mean, what's the first song you think of?
Not Patti Smith.
A little Aerosmith.
Yeah, I know. The other Smith.
Yeah.
Bob Seger, ZZ Top, Aerosmith, Journey, John Bon. That's John Bon Jovi for the young listeners.
So this movie came out when
99.
Ben Affleck had either just fixed his teeth or still had his Mallrats teeth or Chasing Amy teeth, which, and what I mean by that is very crooked.
Yeah, this is
summer
later. This is I think this is when he was starting to
take care of himself. He had summer teeth when he first came out. He had summer teeth, right? Summer here, summer there. But the only song I remember from the movie is the Aerosmith one, but I remember Steve Buscemi. I remember obviously the three that we see on the cover in Liv Tyler, Ben Affleck,
Michael
and
Clark Duncan was in it.
Yeah, and who was the
Bill Fichtner?
Like Bruce Willis's right hand man?
Will Patton.
Not Will Patton. No, I'm not thinking of Will Patton. I'm thinking he was also in the first Punisher with John Travolta.
Yeah, that's Will Patton.
Is that his name, Will Patton?
Yeah, man.
I'm thinking of Bill Paxton.
No, not Bill Paxton.
I'm gonna say for me it's a strong
great character actor, Will Patton. He shows up in a lot of stuff.
Yeah, he does. That's true. He is a good character actor.
He's just off the top of my head. Yeah, he's in Armageddon, Gone in 60 Seconds. Like you said, The Punisher.
Yeah.
Just he's all around. Just if you need someone to show up for something,
there's
good old Will's there.
Big ones though. He's in the Halloween remake in 2018.
I think the last Purge.
Can't see those movies.
Can't see them. You should
watch
them.
I can't.
It's what the world's coming to.
That's true. I mean, he
you
was also
you want to be ready.
Too. He was also in Roadhouse too. I mean, let's not forget that. Remember the Titans?
Oh yeah, one of the coaches.
He was in Jesus' Son. He played John Smith.
Oh yes, who could forget?
Probably directed by that numbnuts that made comments about Jonathan Smith or Jonathan Majors. Anyway,
this is a terrible movie, but it's still fun to watch.
You know what though? This movie came out in that sweet spot of disaster movies. It was like
competing disaster movies: Deep Impact, Armageddon, Volcano, Dante's Peak.
Yeah.
Well, Twister, but there was no competing for that one.
No, but that's a good point.
Yeah.
Though. They were Deep Impact was okay, but this was, I think, of the two, this is the bigger one. The only thing I remember from
Michael Bay did his thing.
There was also I can't remember. I'll think about it, and if I come up with it, I'll let you know. But yeah. And even Bruce Willis during this time, like he was still riding the highs of John McClane, right? And the Fifth Element, Fifth Element to me is one of the most underrated movies of all time.
Oh, absolutely!
It's so good.
Multipass. And Chris Tucker was fantastic.
Multipass. That's right.
So I'm going, truthfully, despite how bad the movie is, I will still take the movie over the soundtrack.
Yeah.
Even though, again,
do you have a clapping sound effect? God.
I'm gonna press that. Godzilla. Not gonna lie. That soundtrack.
Is this
This is the Matthew Broderick.
Ferris Bueller's Godzilla?
Yes, right.
I don't remember the soundtrack.
Oh, the soundtrack has got. You need to listen to the soundtrack. It's got some gold on there.
See, the soundtrack to me, looking at this cover art, screams to me Theory of a Dead Man, Nickelback.
No, man, it's got Diddy on there.
Really?
Oh yeah, it's got Diddy with freaking Jimmy Page on guitar.
Whoa!
It's got.
When was this? 19. Jimmy Page is the greatest guitarist of all time for sure. He is.
I want to say 97.
Yeah, I'm gonna say 97 too.
98. Sorry. So close. Wallflowers, Puff Daddy at the time, Rage Against the Machine, Ben Folds 5, Foo Fighters. No, had some good stuff on there, but really, it's like you said, going back to the Armageddon, like the "Come With Me" by Diddy with Jimmy Page is like the song that movie's known for, and that just unlike the last one, that one holds stronger than Aerosmith's use of the soundtrack. So I am 100% that over this.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with. Oh, you're going that? You're going soundtrack
over this. Watch the movie, and you.
I mean, well, I have to go with this only because I don't remember the soundtrack. I mean, I don't remember the movie though. I mean, I remember seeing the movie. I remember The Professional is in it.
That's right.
With Matthew Broderick.
Hank Azaria.
Hank Azaria, that's right. Yeah. I'm gonna play a contrarian and say this.
See, if you remember that more, obviously that had a more lasting impact, even though you don't remember it much. Space Jam. Look at that. Seal, Coolio, Quad City DJs, Skip R. Kelly, Busta Rhymes, Coolio, LL Cool J, Method Man, Monica, Salt and Pepper, Barry White, and Chris Rock. Man, if I knew we weren't going to get cease and desist, I would be playing some of these songs on, because you just know
those C&Ds would be flying.
That's right, man.
They would be flying.
You just got to get up and slam now. Welcome to the Space Jam. Like, what more do you need?
I feel like I'm going to go with this for this. And Space Jam, I think really it was it kind of, I don't know if I would necessarily want to say that it rode on the coattails of Who Framed Roger Rabbit, but it took some cues from that movie and turned it into a pretty awesome one with a sports twist. And let's be honest, Michael Jordan was the biggest thing in the world at that time.
That's right.
And you had some iconic tunes in Bugs Bunny and all the others. So it was, whereas with like Roger Rabbit, it was just implications and, you know, so a few like Easter eggs and whatnot and cameos of characters.
Yeah, but... I love Roger Rabbit.
Oh, me too. It's great.
Yeah, you need to be more in tuned with like.
You said too.
more into like, you know, knowing like, you know, noir movies and back in like the 30s times, you know, with like Prohibition stuff like not knowing that railways didn't exist back then, putting in freeways.
Yeah. Reading newspapers.
And like just some of the like classic cartoon characters that, you know, people don't even remember anymore.
Yeah.
Also, it was great because it had properties of Warner Brothers and Disney coming together for a project and nobody got sued.
The first collaboration of its time.
Yeah, it seems that way. I don't think we'll ever get that again.
So what are you choosing? Are you choosing this or that?
Yeah, it's a great soundtrack, but just, you know, Bill Murray coming in and given a pass and retiring undefeated and untied.
So, and I want to say, like, just looking at this poster right here, you have Michael Jordan on the right, you have Bugs Bunny on the left. Like, was there ever a movie that came out before this where you could like clearly bring older sports fans and kids to the movie theater for the same movie?
If you were just walking by and saw that, you'd be like, "What?"
Yeah, you could be
two icons that you would just know by looking at it.
You could be in university and like a huge basketball fan, a bigger Jordan fan, and you see this, you're like, well, I got to see this. Or you could be an 8-year-old in grade 5 or a 10-year-old or whatever, a kid in elementary, and just see Bugs Bunny and be like, yeah, I want to see that. And they're both
smart kid.
The same movie.
8 years old in grade 5.
I know. Mensa. Be like, well, I could break down. Oh, this is a good one.
Guardians of the Galaxy Volume Uno. Or I guess Guardians of the Galaxy. There was no Volume 1. Awesome makes Volume 1.
You go first.
Yeah, it's a tough one. Like, I love the movie. Like I said this before. Like, this is for a lot of kids. This is like our like grandparents or parents walking into a movie theater in 1977 and watching Star Wars. It was the characters that people didn't really know, so it's just like. But man, that fucking soundtrack.
Mm-hmm.
Every song I hit, even if they weren't hits, but it hit so well with, as a ensemble.
Everything.
Yeah.
It just hits you in the feels. Yeah. No, I agree.
But like listening to that, like the soundtrack, you picture what's going on in the movie, but also you can relate it to other things as well, because again, these are great tunes. I will go. I'll go that.
Oh, okay, good. Yes. In an absolute millisecond, I'll say that. I talked about my love for 80s music, but very close to that is music from the 70s. And when this movie came out, to my surprise, there was a song that was played that is easily top 5 songs of mine of all time, and it's Alvin Bishop's "Fooled Around and Fell in Love." I've loved that song since I was a kid, like one of my absolute favorite songs of all time. And so when that song was played in the movie, when Peter and Gamora were like just kind of locking eyes or whatever, right away I was sold. But then you have Cherry Bomb, and you have Daylight Moon Age, like David Bowie, and you have all of these amazing songs where, like, to your point, you could have this play on rotate and it would just be all you need for a house party with your pals. And the reason why I'm saying that is because of that, but also James Gunn was very smart in manipulating the movie to fit those songs. And I feel like it wasn't the other way around. I feel like they didn't make the movie and then choose the songs. I felt like they had a tone that they wanted to achieve, and they had a style that they wanted to use, and it was based off of that genre of music, and then they tweaked the movie to fit it in. And so I feel like the chicken and egg conversation for me anyway in this example is that the music came first and the story came second.
Well, it's true. And then like even how it relates to the story is like the songs work so well because for sure that's stuff that mom would have listened to, that you would have heard either in the house or in the car. You would have grown up with, and it's exactly why Quill has these songs being played all the time, right? So,
and I think that hit a chord with me too when I was watching it. Like, one of the reasons, if I think back to, why do I love 80s and 70s music so much? Because I correlate that with, my mom cleaning the house on a Sunday.
Yep.
You know, and like us, my brother and I just kind of playing, and she's blasting that music and cleaning the house and doing whatever. And whatever was floating her boat on that given weekend, if it was 80s music or 70s music. And I think of that and I absolutely love it. And yeah, it's a strong that for this.
Boom! Volume 2.
Same thing. I'm going to say it's the same thing. The Brandy, I think was the name of the song.
Yep.
And it's the opening song right away. It's good. Like if you actually listen to the lyrics, it's a one-hit wonder. I can't remember the name of the band that sings it, but
oh shit! Yeah, it was in my head as you brought it up, and now I can't remember.
Yeah, but same thing.
I'll get it.
I also think that the reason why I'm going with the soundtrack for Volume 2 as well is that I think we've mentioned this before. Guardians of the Galaxy 2 is very much guilty, like Thor is, and
Looking
like Iron
Glass.
Man is. Looking Glass, thank you. Where they lean really heavily into what worked with the first film, and it was the music, which is great, but then also Groot. So, yeah, I'm just gonna say it carried on. When this movie came out, when the second volume came out, there was a playlist that you can get on Apple Music where it was like Volume 1 and Volume 2 mixed together. So it was like all of the songs, and you can just have it on one playlist. And I remember Jade and I were playing cards one night, and we just listened to the whole thing, and we didn't have to get up once and change songs. We just played our cards and listened to the whole soundtrack for both of Volume 1 and 2, and it was great. It was absolutely great.
It's both of those soundtracks is the rare times where you would just download it and like not once even consider skipping, no matter how many times you listen to it. Don't like shuffle, okay, but you don't even need to because everything works in the order that they're in.
So it makes you wonder what we'll have to, remember this conversation, and when the Volume 3 comes out, because I feel like they're going to be making a huge shift and a huge jump in terms of timelines for what the soundtrack will look like for the third volume. So
I think that this one might have some misses in it.
Yeah, you think so?
Well, I don't know. If we are going to go based on the story where I think at the end of the second one, he gets a Zune, right? So there could be 1,000 songs. So the possibilities are endless on there. So if you find a Zune, which early 2000s, I don't know many people who'd be loading it up with anything that's not 90s and more recent.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, that's a good point.
So like if there's like 70s and 60s songs on there, I'm gonna cry foul. Surprisingly, I'm gonna say as much as I like the soundtrack, I would say this for Volume 2.
Oh, okay.
Just based on the movie. Like the first movie is far better than the second one. But I thought that soundtrack was better than the first one. And I didn't get, with the exception of Brandy, which again featured in the front and then referenced later when Ego's explaining like the song to Quill and how it related to him and his relationship with his mom. Like, yeah, while it fits with the movie, to me it didn't hit as hard as the first one. So this,
to your point, no, I haven't. But just really quickly for Volume 2, I think.
Yep.
To your point, it was with Volume 1, the soundtrack hit us like a Mack truck.
Yeah.
Whereas with Volume 2, we kind of expected to hear a similar volume, and so we weren't as, it's kind of like when you see boobs for the first time, you're like, oh, it's amazing, and then the next one you see, it's like it doesn't really hit the level of
those other ones were better.
Yeah. So
you gotta watch Tron Legacy.
Okay.
You have to, because the Daft Punk soundtrack hits so hard.
I didn't know that it was Daft Punk that.
That's why it's so good.
That has me sold. Like Daft Punk is amazing. It's got to be on Disney Plus, yeah.
Oh yeah, it's a Disney movie. It's right there above.
So I noticed that Jeff Daniels is in it. Does he play the same character?
Jeff Bridges.
Or Jeff Bridges, sorry, Jeff Bridges.
Yeah.
Okay.
He's Flynn coming back. But
Flynn,
no,
that's his name.
trust me, even if you don't even watch the movie and just open up your Apple Music or whatever and search the soundtrack, you'll be hooked just off the fucking first song. Like it's all score, but it's amazing. I've listened to that soundtrack from start to finish more times than I've seen the movie since it came out. I left the movie about the soundtrack. Like that was the part that stuck with me the most.
So 2 questions about the movie. Mm-hmm. Number 1, is it kid friendly?
Yes.
Number 2,
a little bit. It's darker in the sense of just the story they're trying to tell, but like there's no cursing or anything at all.
And do you need to see the first one to? I know you do because Flynn's in it. Like there's that relationship between the two, but I'm thinking
there's a lot of exposition that explains what happened after the first one to this one, because it's mainly about Flynn's son and how Flynn is now in the system and why he was in the system and what happened in the system. But like that's all explained, so you don't necessarily need to see the first one.
Okay.
It helps.
I feel like this might be a good movie to watch with the boys while
they'll be into it. It's like it's pretty cool. So for kids, it'll be pretty cool.
Yeah, definitely.
Because the whole thing it looks like a video game.
Yeah, we're watching this for sure this weekend. Love it. I knew there was a reason why we were doing these podcasts.
It's just to tell you to watch stuff with your children.
That's right. That's right.
So I'm with that you haven't seen. Boogie Nights.
Oh.
It's a great movie.
It is a really good movie.
Paul Thomas Anderson. A lot of great actors. Look at that cast. Mark Wahlberg, Julianne Moore, Burt Reynolds, Don Cheadle, John C. Reilly, William H. Macy.
A young John C. Reilly.
Oh, everybody's young. Even Philip Seymour Hoffman.
Yeah, I guess so too, right? Because this is what, like mid-90s?
Mm-hmm.
95, I want to say.
Before Wahlberg became the Wahlberg that he is today.
Like this was like, yeah. I was gonna say New Kids Wahlberg, but wasn't on the New Kids, but his brother was. So,
Marky Mark that was
Marky Mark. Does yeah.
And the Calvin Klein posters.
I'm gonna say this. I'm gonna say the movie.
Movie?
Because I remember the genre and the like the 70s, like the disco. Like I remember the music, and I'm sure there's a lot of great disco. I'm gonna say this. Were the Bee Gees part of the soundtrack?
On there. We got the Commodores on here. Marvin Gaye, Beach Boys. God only knows. Night Ranger,
Lionel Richie,
ELO, War.
ELO.
Yeah, man.
Shit.
Some good tunes.
I'm gonna go with this. Yeah,
it's a great movie. Soundtrack, just again, help like the other ones enhances the movie. That was 10. That was this or that.
Did we do 10 of them?
I believe so.
Oh my god! Yeah.
Like I'm sure there's honorable mentions. I think I probably would have thrown on their Pulp Fiction.
Yeah. Dumb and Dumber.
That's a great soundtrack. The soundtrack to Jackie Brown.
Oh yeah, yeah.
What you need to do? What I did once is I had, I think it was my YouTube music. Somebody did a playlist of all the Quentin Tarantino soundtrack songs, and I mixed it with the Guardians. It was a good time.
Oh, that would be interesting. Like volume 1?
Yeah.
Huh.
It was a good time.
It seems like a lot of work.
Well, that's why they did it for you. You took one playlist and you copied into another playlist, and then there you go.
That could work, actually.
Another ones I think you probably could put any like Scorsese movie soundtrack, and that would be a good time too.
Yeah.
Like Casino.
Like what song could From Rags to Riches and Goodfellas be transferred to a more modern movie? Okay. Going from rags to riches. Oh, that's a great soundtrack too. Goodfellas.
Yeah.
I'm gonna throw that in there.
The most iconic thing I can picture is the piano exit to Layla while they're doing the montage of everybody getting whacked.
Oh, and I forget Buddy's name, but when he's caught in the freezer in the back of the truck, so good.
And then the guys getting dumped into the garbage. Frenchie, whatever it was. Is the garbage is rolling, the bodies are falling in.
Frenchie, that's the yeah. So Jade had never seen that movie, and over the course of the holidays, so not that long ago, we were talking about it. I was like, have you not seen, because she knows that it's my favorite movie of all time next to Dumb and Dumber. And we were talking, and she's like, no, I've never seen it. I'm like, we're putting it on right now.
Mm-hmm.
And I know when she's engaged in a movie because she doesn't grab her phone and just start to be distracted by it. And she watched the whole thing, and we finished it, and she's like, that was amazing. I'm like, right? The fact that it was a true story, like, it was just so well told. Like, so well told.
Yeah, you can't go wrong with that movie.
Have you read the book?
I think a lot of people figure Casino is probably like the far superior one. Like,
not even close.
Probably it has to be close to, just technically speaking, like Scorsese's like masterpiece movie.
It's the closest.
But Goodfellas is the best, hands down.
For sure. And like, yes, I will agree with you and say that Casino is the closest to competing with Goodfellas in terms of, filmography, in terms of dialogue, in terms of story, in terms of, like, suspense and everything else. But there's no way that it surpasses it in any context. Like, Goodfellas is the and did he also do what's the one with Jack Nicholson and
The Departed?
Like, that was great, but not even close.
No.
But I also like it because it's from 89, like, it's an older movie, so it has that feel. Get your fucking shine box, and like, just like so many iconic scenes. Whereas you don't see that with the newer ones, like with The Departed and with Casino. You don't have iconic scenes. And maybe that's just because they came out afterwards, that they weren't given that opportunity. But when you compare both of those movies to Goodfellas, like, that doesn't hold a candle, in my opinion.
I have to watch Goodfellas again. I watched that movie every once in a while. Just like the whole beginning too, like when they got Billy in the trunk and like
just everything.
Shoot him, whatever, and they slam the trunk and then just freeze frame. Ever since I was good, I'm a big gangster.
I'd say I'm good to watch at least twice a year. And like, fortunately it's streaming, but if you don't have streaming services, like, the good thing is that AMC has it. They always go through like a 2-week period throughout the year where they'll have it available. Movies. Although it's not like, it's the censored version, right? Yeah, so you'll miss out on a few scenes. No, go grab the coats. No, the other one. Like, no. It's yeah. So
I gotta go, Jimmy.
I gotta go.
Gotta go see my mother.
So good.
The mother has the kids.
So are we going to go offline for next week's homework and keep it a surprise, or are we gonna
think of something?
Yeah. Yeah, I would like to think of something. So Hot Wet American Summer was a movie that the movie, like the original movie, was a movie when it came out, was so ahead of its time, and it had some pretty huge star power involved in it. And I was just
Paul Rudd, Elizabeth
David Pierce Hyde, I think his name was.
David Pierce, yeah.
There's the girl, the other teacher opposite David Pierce. She was in SNL. I'm not doing a good job selling the movie, but there were a lot of
people in this. There were actors. They played characters.
There were a lot of the one guy who played the cook.
There you go.
He's in Law and Order. So anyway,
we have Janine Garofalo, David Hyde Pierce, Michael Walter, sorry, Paul Rudd, Christopher Maloney, Molly Shannon. Ken Marino, Jolo Truglio, Michael Ian Black, Amy Poehler, Bradley Cooper, Elizabeth Banks. Yeah, that's quite the list of folks.
I'm gonna say it was what 2003,
2001.
2001. Oh my god. Okay,
that
so
much
yes,
older.
That's gonna be next week's homework. And
Watch
the reason why
not the series.
Not the series. And the reason why I thought about that is if you remember the movie, there's a random scene that I sometimes think of, and I just randomly send the video to Jade, and it's when Janine Garofalo is going to David Pierce Hyde because he's like a teacher in retirement, and she's trying to convince him to come and talk to the students about, science and whatnot. And he's like, no, I'm okay. She keeps pressing him, and he's like, I said no. And just that exchange is hilarious. And there's lots of other funny exchanges. So yeah, that's going to be the homework for next week. Hot, Wet American Summer.
I believe it's called Wet Hot American Summer. You names.
Yeah, no, I'm bad.
Are you dyslexic? Because you keep swapping.
Probably. I might be. Trying to figure out where it's streaming. And
I want to say this.
It's on Netflix.
Series was Netflix, yeah. So the movie should be on.
So we're good. Yeah, we're good to go. That'll be next week's homework.
All right. So that's next week. For this week, that was Open Color.
You're Corey. I'm Steve. Are we plugging all the different avenues?
All right, yeah. Well,
Corey's like, I guess.
I got a button. Socially, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, Open Color Pod. That's us.
Follow, comment, subscribe. If you want to download the audio, anywhere. We are everywhere. Wherever your favorite aggregator is. But if you want to watch us live and myself play with pens and Corey play with pens, then you can watch us on
drop
YouTube.
Gift cards on the floor.
That's right. Yes.
To have them skirt under the desk. I bend down and pick them up.
Really try to create episode 17's Boston Pizza Incident. We'll get there. Right. We'll get there.
And we referenced before when talking about turtles, our friend Corey Feldman. So I think it's just fitting to wrap up the show with a feel-good Feldman moment. Right?
Right.
Oh,
let's do it. Yeah.
Till next week.
The Kodak Color Burst 50 and A Day at the Zoo. We've asked these photographers just what they think of our camera.
It's a snap! Instant elephant! You don't have to do anything. This ain't orangutan. See that zebra? Now it's in my pocket. Takes a picture and a half for one giraffe.